Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. I follow a ton of XRP chart analysts, and I have for a very, very, very long time, the better part of a decade. And the XRP chart analysts I'm currently following, they all accurately call, and I mean, unless it's the ones that are like toxic Bitcoin maxi trolls, I follow some of them for fun, but outside of that, all of the XRP chart analysts that I follow accurately called that XRP would break out this market cycle. I highlighted tons of them throughout 2024 before XRP broke out to the upside. They were right. I'm still following them. And it is the case that at this particular juncture in time, they all still believe that what is going to happen is XRP will hit yet another new all-time high. It already happened January 16th after 7 years, hit a new all-time high. They still, all of them, all the ones I follow anyway, they do believe that XRP will hit yet another new all-time high and finally enter price discovery. So that's fantastic to see, and I'll give all of them credit because they've accurately called the breakout to this point, and they've got strong conviction for reasons that I think are pretty damn reasonable. But where they disagree very frequently is just how high XRP is going to go. And I mean, it's all across the board. Like, I'm talking, there are some, not many, but there are some analysts that are talking, they like, even if they're not necessarily saying this is the peak, but some of them only feel comfortable saying that XRP could hit $5. Like, that's on the real low end. Like, it could hit $5 as a peak this cycle. And I think that those ones, nothing against them, I think they're just being really conservative, and they're not saying that's the peak. That's all they feel comfortable stating, and they have articulated various reasons for that. There aren't many of those. But it is very common to see analysts acknowledging that there's a very high probability XRP will at least hit double digits this market cycle, right? And I don't think that's insane. I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't make price predictions. I'm not a chart guy myself. I'm just a regular dude like all the rest of you. Just tracking all this stuff. I'm just hyper interested in it because, let's be real, it's fun when you got skin in the game, right? Or terrifying for some people if the market's dropping and you have skin in the game. But either way, I just have fun tracking this stuff. But I got my opinions just like anybody else. And so if you're talking about XRP hitting double-digit price action this particular market cycle, I'm like, okay, maybe we'll look back and see on the lower end of the double-digit spectrum, maybe that's actually pretty damn conservative. But then when you start talking about 3 digits, $100 plus this market cycle, like $100 this cycle, that's where you really start to lose me. And then when I have trouble taking you seriously is when you're talking about 4 digits, especially if it's this market cycle. I'm like, nope, get the hell out. I don't know if you're a grifter. I don't know if you just are not, I don't know if you have cognitive issues and you can't process, reasonable, thoughts and interpret data. And that's why you're thinking that it could actually happen. Whatever it is. I'm like, God, you're starting to lose. Now, there aren't so many of them, and in fact, the analysts that I follow, I don't know if any of them actually, I don't think, unless I'm missing one, in which case, please bring it to my attention. I don't know that any of them are calling for this market cycle. All I'm saying is, there's a really broad array of where people think that the price of XRP could actually land this particular cycle. And that's fine. Like, thoughtful minds can disagree. It's, engage in civil discourse, and it makes for some fun and interesting conversation here. So even though I'm not convinced that we are going to see 3-digit XRP this cycle, and I acknowledge that I'm more on when it comes to expectations for XRP price, I've always been more on the conservative end of the spectrum, which I think is more safely supplanted in reality. That's just my humble opinion. Even I, though, will absolutely acknowledge that XRP, it could end up hitting 3 digits. I don't think it's going to happen this cycle, and I'll be happy. I will eat humble pie. I'll be happy for everybody making out like bandits if it happens. I do not believe there's a remote chance XRP hits 3 digits this cycle. But if you're talking an unspecified amount of time, could that happen in the future, in particular with broader crypto adoption and XRP being a certain percentage of the crypto pie? Yeah, absolutely. There's way more than enough money on the planet to make that happen. I just don't think that's necessarily going to happen anytime soon. And some people think it could happen, not this cycle, but the next one. I'm like, somewhat skeptical of that, but I don't know. I mean, let's see how quickly the adoption of crypto exponentially increases, because when you do have an exponential increase, well, that kind of changes things, right? And so there was this post from chart analyst Javon Marks. To his credit, he's one of the many analysts that I've been tracking who did accurately call a breakout for XRP this market cycle. And look, even if I think that some of the price expectations from some of these analysts are too high, that's just my personal opinion. Again, I'm a human, I could be wrong. But even if that's the case, I still will absolutely give every single analyst that accurately called this breakout credit, because credit is 100% deserved there, especially in the face of so much blowback from toxic Bitcoin maximalists. Yeah, let's give them credit where it's due at least. We can at a minimum do that. But I don't agree that it's reasonable to think that XRP's hitting 3 digits this cycle, like I said. Chart analyst Javon Marks, he disagrees. And so, look, that's fine. I'm not afraid to share diverse opinions on this channel, even if they're outside of what I think makes the most sense. That's fine. It's opinion, right? But here's what he shared in a post on X. XRP's next bullish wave looks to be nearing, and by past performance, can result in a push to the 1.618 fib level at approximately $16.50. A full similar performance to last bull cycle could result in more than $100 XRP. That is a near 40x from here. Okay, folks. Again, everyone's entitled to their opinion. That is fine. Now, if you're talking about $16.50, okay, I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't. That doesn't sound remotely crazy, and if it happens, I will not be remotely surprised. And if it doesn't hit that, I'm not going to be surprised. There's a certain range, because nobody can know for sure, where I just won't be surprised. Like, if it peaks at 8, if XRP peaks at $8, I won't be surprised. If it hits $16.50, I won't be surprised. If it hits a little over $20, I won't be surprised. I will be surprised if we're a little lower than that or a little higher than that range. And I know it's a broad range, but none of that is crazy based on historically how crypto behaves. So if we're a little less than that, yeah, it'd get to the point where I'll be like, okay, what, we're peaking at like $5-6, really? Like, that's it? That would surprise me. Technically, it's possible. I don't know if that's, I don't know. I don't know if that's going to happen. Technically, it's possible. It's also possible that these people that are talking about XRP going over $30 this cycle, they could be right. I don't think that's insane. And the higher Bitcoin runs, the more likely it is XRP does, I don't want to say similar performance. It'll ridiculously outpace the performance of Bitcoin. But the important part there is that more money would flow into XRP, of course. The higher Bitcoin goes, the more profits are taken from Bitcoin, cycles into the rest of the space. It's called rotation, my friends. And a certain amount of that absolutely goes into XRP. And then when you get a big old green candle, then you get all the people that don't know a damn thing about XRP saying, oh, there's a green candle. And there's the greed that kicks in with humans. You don't want to miss out. And then they know nothing about XRP, but they throw a bunch of money in. You know, it's that Futurama gift, take my money, that whole thing. Yes, that's exactly it. That's the type of thing that happens here. So 3 digits this cycle, I emphatically say no. And again, I'll eat my words if I'm wrong, that's fine. I have no ego at all. Like, I don't care. I'm not afraid to be wrong. These are just my actual thoughts. But there's also on the flip side, the more conservative end. And here's a post from the blockchain backer. And he was sharing a video just 2 days ago. Great video. And I highlighted this, I think it was literally just yesterday. But here it is. XRP price chart mathematically points to $8 to $10 with XRP USD and XRP versus Bitcoin. He very elaborately and articulately lays out a case for why he believes that XRP peaking this cycle at $8 to $10 just makes a ton of sense. And frankly, he's one of the best chart guys out there, like not just in the XRP community, in my opinion, but like in crypto in general. And so we're lucky to have him in the community. That's my opinion. I think he's fantastic. He happens to be more on the conservative side, but I respect it. Like I said earlier in the video, like by nature, I'm kind of more geared that way anyway. Some of the more outlandish stuff, which it's subjective, but some of the stuff that seems more outlandish to me, I'm just like, come on, get out of here. Just get out, and so maybe you look back on this and you see that, when the cycle's all said and done, you'll be like, wow, that was way too conservative, blockchain backer. But who knows? Maybe it's done. You're like, wow, that guy, he really hit the nail on the head. And so I'm not taking a position on that specifically. To me, it's just interesting to see the chart analyst kind of intellectually slug it out, especially in engaging in civil discourse, which did happen here. And I thought I'd highlight this just because I found this short thread to be rather interesting. So there is Crypto Insight UK. He checked out the video and shared some thoughts here. And both of these analysts, been following for a long time, they both called for XRP to break out this market cycle. So again, whoever you think makes more sense, that's fine. I'm just telling you, credit is deserved here. Like, it is due here. They were both correct about this. And it's just fascinating seeing minds that are doing chart analysis just has a thoughtful back and forth here. And so Crypto Insight UK reposted that link from the blockchain backer sharing that video and saying, hey, $8 to $10 per XRP this cycle peak. That would just make sense mathematically. And again, if you want all the reasons, I don't want to regurgitate a bunch of TA, go check out his video. But here's what Crypto Insight UK had to say about this. A great explanation and video here by the blockchain backer. I would like to ask a genuine question, though. Why are you so certain XRP BTC, and just to be clear, he's talking about XRP BTC pair right there. Why are you so certain top is 8,200 sats? I see that as a major resistance, but your thesis revolves around it not being able to surpass that. Curious as to if I'm missing something. Okay, and so that's certainly a fair enough question. A lot of what the blockchain backer was looking at was price performance from a historical perspective, which is absolutely useful. But could there be something a little bit outside the norm? Could it drive higher, so on and so forth? Price discovery degree that hasn't yet been seen quite to that scale. And that stuff does happen. I mean, for instance, you could have looked at XRP in 2016 and been like, there's no precedent for XRP to randomly run 80,000%, but then it ran 80,000%. So the reason I cite that is just to point out that sometimes things, in fact, do happen. But I think part of what the blockchain backer has been hitting at, not to put words in his mouth, but just based on what I've seen from him, is that he's not making an argument about what might happen if the things that have never happened finally suddenly happen. He's saying, based on the actual math and based on a historic precedent, if you're just looking at that, no, okay? And so that's why I respect where he's coming from. It just makes a ton of... I understand intellectually and analytically what he's talking about, even though I'm not a chart guy myself. And so anyway, he did respond. The blockchain backer wrote to Crypto Insight UK, and he said, thanks for the compliment. As to your question, I answered that in detail in the video quoted. It's just math and measurements. Beyond that is venturing outside of measurements and historical norms, which is what I have to use for my speculations. Okay, so folks, nothing but respect for that. I think that makes a ton of sense. And I do see like a lot of the analysts that are talking about these way higher price targets. And again, I'll still give them credit where it's due. Just to repeat again, if they accurately called XRP breaking to the upside, again, credit where it's due. But a lot of them will cite these larger targets based on percentage increases that are the same from previous cycles, which doesn't make sense because once there's more money in an asset, it takes way more to get that type of increase anyway. So that doesn't make sense. And so a lot of it is they're just citing these increases just based on if so-and-so happened, even if there isn't any sort of even close to reasonable historic precedent for it. And so that's when people don't convince me. If you're just like, here, if this happens, but then no historic precedent, I'm just like, well, okay. Well, then I'm less convinced. You got to be more persuasive than that. That's all I'm saying here. The blockchain backer then shared this. It's an XRP BTC chart, and he said, it seems reasonable to be anywhere between 8,000 and 12,000, talking about sats, of course, but the measurement lands on 8,200, okay? And so then Crypto Insight UK responded and said, yeah, I guess my question, what you've answered is that's an area of confluence or corroboration, as you like to say. The answer is maths say this is a sensible resistance into retracement levels rather than a definite top, presuming we don't revisit range highs / expand versus Bitcoin. Okay, so folks, that's a thing too. So if you're talking about historic precedent, range highs, and then there's a question separately of, is there going to be some level of price discovery? Which is why the conversation is totally fair. If you think this goes way higher, now the more wacky high numbers you get, the less convinced I am. But yeah, price discovery happens in markets, folks. And we're still waiting for that in XRP against the dollar, not just Bitcoin, and the dollar as well. But then just imagine if you have Bitcoin taking off against the dollar, so Bitcoin denominated in the dollar, and then if you have XRP catching up to Bitcoin on the XRP BTC pair, what do you think that means for XRP USD? Well, obviously way higher, right? And so that's why this gets particularly interesting. But anyway, so Crypto Insight UK continues, and he says, presuming we don't revisit range highs / expand versus Bitcoin, that's the last part I read. It says, you're targeting these areas because it's logical as fib retracements versus dollar / plus market cap targets them in a few other conditions, but nothing particularly technical regarding XRP versus Bitcoin specifically, other than it being a strong area of resistance. And this is the part where it ends here. The blockchain backer responded and he said, looking at it through the lens of something like Ethereum, it would be worthy of considering as the actual top. And so it was using a perspective from Ethereum comparing to what's happening here, just showing another example of where a similar type of thing was occurring. So I don't pretend to know where this is going to top. I just find this interesting just like the rest of you. And everyone's entitled to their perspective here. I just want to be, like, whatever we're speculating about, I just want to do my best as, like, a regular Joe Schmo here to believe whatever I believe is probable. I want it to be as safely supplanted in reality as possible. That's what I'm going for. I don't want to, idiotically believe something that's not remotely reasonable. I mean, whether that means my expectations are too low or too high, I don't want to. So I'm doing my best, like any other rational human, to come to a reasonable supposition about what's likely here. Now, I will say this. The good news is that for so many of you listening, even if you do get to some of these lower price predictions, like only $10, like it's so weird to say only $10 for XRP. But even if we get to only $10 for XRP, that will be life-changing for so many of you listening. And it would be so wildly life-changing for me as well. So we don't need some of the more fantastical things to come through in order to get what we actually really want here. And I understand that some of you, if you bought more recently, you're going to have a different perspective than that. But who knows? Maybe the analysts that are talking about way higher, maybe they're right, and then you get yours too. And if it doesn't happen this cycle, there's always subsequent market cycles. Like those people that hold and if they have their conviction and they're patient AF, those are the people that win when it comes to investing. Because you don't get your Lambo when you want it necessarily. Unless you're really lucky, it just happens to be when you happen to want it. Normally when it comes to investing, you just got to be really patient and really hold. But that's the cool thing about XRP. There's so little money in it. If we're right about the crypto asset class exploding further and we're right about XRP utility, then a certain amount, again, it'll keep flowing into that. And then you let enough time pass, you hold long enough, like even if we don't know exactly what that looks like in terms of dollars or what the time frame is, you still win if the ideas behind that are right. That's why I'm here after over 7 years. And you know what? It's playing out pretty damn well. Fine, we got that curveball from the SEC that wrecked literally several years. We missed a market cycle. But I still think that we're right. And clearly, investors on a global scale agree. So I'm going to keep sitting tight. So whatever the number is, and you guys tell me in the comment section below what you think is most probable, I think that most of us are just going to be really happy. I do. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because if anything I say are right, that would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.